Do you ever feel unheard or unlistened to? I remember starting at a job when I was quite a bit younger, quite a bit more immature, and still full of all the idealism and optimism that I am now. And I just wanted to battle away and change everything and turn the world upside down. One of my fellow team members took me to one side after one meeting where I'd just been battling away to be maverick, to throw everything out and start again. And they just said, you don't have to fight. You don't have to shout to be heard. People hear you. You need to just be a bit more secure in yourself in that. It was a timely word and it helped me so much. Isaiah was one of the prophets in the Hebrew Bible. And his work is so profound. Oftentimes in history, it's been called the fifth gospel because it points to Jesus in such beautiful ways. In today's reading in John 12:37-50, it actually says that Isaiah saw Jesus. That was the source of his revelation, of his profound writing. When Isaiah sees God, is called up to the throne of God, it's described in this incredible experience. He is commissioned. And there's this sense in which John is telling us that when Isaiah sees the glory of God, he actually sees Jesus because Jesus is the glory of God. But he goes out from that place and people don't listen. Their hearts are hard, their eyes are blind, their ears are blocked. And Jesus here encounters the same. He performs many signs, yet they don't believe in him. And we see here in the gospel a point where the wideness of what is going on starts to narrow. I mean, physically it does. Jesus moves from the temple courts to the upper room. Jesus moves from teaching the crowds to starting to engage only with his disciples and prepare them for the cross. And I think there's this sense of the wide story of God's salvation, of all that God has been doing through Isaiah and the prophets, through the patriarchs and the fathers, through the kings, through all of the history of Israel, starts to narrow into the person of Jesus. And Jesus understands this. And he has this sense of not seeking the presence of people and the presence of crowds. But as the story of God starts to climax in him and he understands the cost, he seeks out the presence of God. He is happy for this to narrow right now. And as this narrowing, this purposeful narrowing comes about, Jesus starts to teach them about who he is, starts to teach them about his purpose and what he came for. And I'd encourage you to read this passage today and engage with the words of Jesus once again. Jesus tells them, I've not come to judge, but to save. There is a division here of those who believe in Jesus and those who don't. And Jesus says here, well, those who don't, they are choosing their own way. The division of whether people follow Jesus and what happens to them is troubling for us in a lot of ways, because when Jesus reveals to us a God who is so loving and strong and rescuing, the thought that some people could be lost, even eternally lost, is hard for us to swallow, especially when we start to think about the implications, perhaps, for people that we know. But Jesus here, he says, actually, they have chosen their own way. All are lost, but I have come to save and change. I've not come to divide and remove people. I've come to rescue and grasp those who would come to me. And I am strong and loving enough to fulfill this. Today, as you read this passage, think about that. Think about the way that Jesus takes the story of what God has been doing throughout history, through all of creation. And he purposes it, he shapes it to reach out to you and to me, to win for himself a people, to bring a hope and a future to us. As you think about those things, the response is not to ask those provocative questions, but the response, first of all, should be gratitude and worship, and should be for us to be able to walk that same path of Jesus, to seek the presence of God more than the presence of people, to seek to see God's glory in the face of Jesus. So just find some space today to offer some grateful prayer to God and allow him to speak into your heart and your life once again.